All organisms can be infected with parasites. It is unknown how many types of parasites there are, and as I researched, I did not find a consensus on that number. Nevertheless, parasites are prevalent. There are 3 types of parasites: protozoa, which are microscopic and can multiply in humans, causing infection after transmission via fecal oral route. So rethink eating those groceries. Helminths, which are worms like flatworms and roundworms that are visible to the naked eye. And ectoparasites, which are mosquitoes, ticks, fleas, lice, and mice. Some specific parasites are leishmania, a protozoan parasite that causes leishmaniasis, an infection that presents as weight loss, fever, liver and spleen enlargement, and skin ulcers, amongst other things. Plasmodium, the parasite behind malaria, and Toxoplasma gondii, a parasite that can be transmitted sexually and makes people who are infected appear more attractive to ensure its own survival. Parasites are so concerned with survival that they invade the host immune system to maintain this survival. And here we can see parallels between evil-spirited people and parasites. Because a lot of them, both of them, fly under the radar, not easily to be detected. They try to hide. Evil-spirited people, they hide in churches, in marriages, and as pillars of their community. Parasitism is a relationship between 2 species where one benefits at the other's expense. Parasites are concerned with their own survival. However, some parasites know that if they want to survive, they would do better with just manipulating their hosts than to completely off them. This allows the host to do the parasite's bidding. If you are a Bible believer, you know we are told to go to the ant or study the ant and its work ethic. And as I mentioned earlier, all organisms are susceptible to parasites, including these hard workers. Ophiocordyceps unilateralis is a parasitic fungus that grows inside the insect, turning about half its body into fungus. But it leaves the ant's brain intact, allowing it to manipulate the insect's behavior. Ophiocordyceps directs the ant to climb a branch where it dies. Then the fungus grows from the ant's head, enabling it to effectively spread pores and infect more hosts, as in other ants who are walking by. These ants essentially go from hard-working team players to brainless traitors. And humans are no different, whether through parasitic influence or free will. Parasites also maintain their survival by feeding off their host nutrients. And sure, there are technically 3 types of parasites, but according to Hannah Richter of Smithsonian Magazine, what defines a parasite is its reliance on a host species to get energy, not to mention free shelter and transportation. Parasites want what nourishes you for themselves, leaving you depleted. Revelation 2:20 talks about one of the churches tolerating an unchaste woman. a woman who seduces disciples of Christ and teaches them to fornicate and eat food sacrificed to idols. On the surface, seduce means to entice or deceive. In Hebrew, the meaning behind seduce is to open or to make wide and or roomy. The disciples of Christ in Revelation 2:20 chose to tolerate Jezebel. They were open to her attack and she came right in. However, there are instances when one is open not due to their own willingness, but due to their vulnerability, such as children. And such are the children of parasitic parents, be it the mom with a Jocasta complex or the physically absent dad, amongst other tropes. Typically, the aforementioned types are overt with their maltreatment. But there is also a passive type of maltreatment, such as the emotionally absent parent, who is more comparable to the types of parasites that lie dormant. A facultative parasite is an organism that may resort to parasitic activity, but does not absolutely rely on any host for completion of its life cycle. Toxoplasma gondii is one such parasite that will lie dormant until a more opportune time. And Google AI summarizes this parasitic dormancy in this way. Many parasites can enter a dormant or inactive state to survive unfavorable conditions, such as a lack of host availability or harsh environmental conditions. This allows them to survive until the conditions are more favorable for their survival and reproduction. A prime example is the parasite Toxoplasma gondii, which can form cysts in the brain and remain dormant for extended periods. Obviously, it's not just parents that can be parasitic, but our parents do shape us. For the mother who raises her son to be her own husband, she is forming a dangerous man for other women. And of course, he can also end up being dangerous just to himself. Just like parasites who are only concerned with their own survival, she is too. Her son is her sustenance. Remember, Jezebel is an unchaste fornicator. In Hebrew, the word for fornicate is zana. Aparim Publications breaks the word down, stating, the basic meaning of our verb is to shift allegiance out of perceived need for sustenance. That the verb doesn't necessarily have a sexual basis and describes a female who selects a male, has the male invest in her, and derives his worth from her, and then moves to males which have not worked for her. This act will reduce the male to an oafish loaf of bread. Or it describes a woman who gives herself to a man without demanding this man's covenant, which reduces her to a loaf of bread. The unfortunate thing about parasitic people is that if they don't turn their host into shells of their former selves, they turn their hosts into parasitic people, a lineage of sustenance-seeking energy vampires and seducing spirits. Parasites and parasitic people are everywhere, and parasitic people are increasing in population. A huge part of ridding oneself of parasites and parasitic people is by living clean physically and spiritually. That means hand washing, eating clean meats, and eating cooked meat. It may also involve anti-parasitic herbs like garlic and nettle. Also sage, which, when burned, the smoke has the ability to purify the air. Beyond that, though, It involves cleaning your hands in the sense that you don't metaphorically touch unclean things like sin. It involves changing your mind about sin. It involves purifying your heart and remaining that way, preserved.